Installing a timer for a permanent pool setup involves ensuring compliance with the National Electrical Code, or NEC. Specifically, NEC Section 680.23a indicates that pool equipment needs a fixed disconnect within sight of the equipment itself. However, NEC Section 680.23a3 offers an alternative, permitting a disconnect located remotely from the equipment, given certain conditions are satisfied. Firstly, the disconnect must be rated appropriately for the ampacity of the branch circuit serving the pool equipment. Secondly, the disconnect needs to be lockable, ensuring that it can be secured in the off position for safety during maintenance or repairs. Thirdly, the disconnect must be clearly identified, indicating its specific purpose as the pool equipment disconnect. Fourthly, and crucially, this remote disconnect must be within sight of the main electrical service panel. In the scenario of a permanent pool installation employing a twist lock plug as the primary disconnect, it's important to recognize that this plug serves as the required fixed disconnect in proximity to the pool equipment. Introducing a timer located remotely, such as in a basement near the service panel, is acceptable provided it adheres to the conditions outlined in NEC Section 680.23a3. This means the timer must be rated for the ampacity of the pool equipment's branch circuit to be capable of being locked in the off position and be clearly labeled as the designated pool disconnect. The final key element is its location within sight of the service panel. Furthermore, the NEC mandates ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, protection for pool equipment, as detailed in NEC Section 680.22a. Implementing a GFCI circuit breaker or outlet at the twist lock plug effectively fulfills this requirement, providing crucial protection against electrical shock hazards in the pool area. In summary, adding a timer in a remote location, such as the basement adjacent to the service panel, is a viable option for a permanent pool installation, so long as all specified NEC stipulations are rigorously followed. This includes ensuring the timer's ampacity rating aligns with the branch circuit, that it offers lockable functionality, and that it's properly identified as the pool disconnect, all while being situated within sight of the service panel. Furthermore, maintaining GFCI protection through a circuit breaker or outlet at the twist lock plug remains essential for safety. Understanding and adhering to these NEC guidelines is paramount for a safe and code-compliant pool installation. Now let's delve deeper into the specific requirements and considerations for each of these aspects. When selecting a timer for the pool equipment, it is crucial to ensure that its ampacity rating meets or exceeds the requirements of the pool equipment's branch circuit. This rating indicates the maximum amount of electrical current that the timer can safely handle. Consulting the nameplate on the pool equipment, such as the pump motor, will provide the necessary information regarding its voltage, amperage, and power requirements. The branch circuit supplying the pool equipment must be properly sized to accommodate the load, taking into account any other devices or appliances that may be connected to the same circuit. Using a timer with an inadequate ampacity rating can lead to overheating, damage to the timer itself, and potentially create a fire hazard. It is always best to err on the side of caution and select a timer with a higher ampacity rating than what is strictly required. The lockable feature on the disconnect switch, whether it is the timer itself or a separate disconnect device, is essential for safety during maintenance or repairs. This feature allows the electrical power to the pool equipment to be completely shut off and secured in the off position, preventing accidental energization while someone is working on the equipment. The locking mechanism should be robust and tamper-resistant, ensuring that it cannot be easily bypassed. A simple padlock or other locking device can be used to secure the disconnect in the off position. The disconnect should also be clearly labeled with a warning sign indicating that it is the pool equipment disconnect and that the power should be turned off before performing any maintenance or repairs. Proper identification of the disconnect switch is crucial for preventing confusion and ensuring that the correct switch is turned off in an emergency situation. The disconnect should be clearly labeled with a permanent marker or label maker, indicating its specific purpose as the pool equipment disconnect. The labeling should be easy to read and understand, even in low light conditions. Consider using a standardized labeling system throughout the electrical system to ensure consistency and clarity. The requirement that the disconnect switch be within sight of the service panel is intended to provide a convenient and accessible means of shutting off power to the pool equipment in the event of an emergency. The service panel is the main electrical distribution point for the building, and it contains the main circuit breakers that control the power supply to all of the branch circuits. Having the disconnect switch within sight of the service panel allows someone to quickly and easily shut off power to the pool equipment without having to search for the disconnect switch in a remote location. The distance between the disconnect switch and the service panel should be such that the disconnect switch is clearly visible from the service panel. Ground fault circuit interrupter, or GFCI, protection is a critical safety measure for pool equipment, as it helps to prevent electrical shock hazards. A GFCI is a device that monitors the flow of electrical current in a circuit and detects any imbalances that may indicate a ground fault. A ground fault occurs when electrical current leaks from a conductor to ground, such as through a person's body. When a GFCI detects a ground fault, it quickly shuts off the power to the circuit, preventing a potentially fatal electrical shock. NEC Section 680.22a requires that all electrical equipment associated with a pool, including pumps, filters, heaters, and lighting, be protected by a GFCI. The GFCI can be provided by a GFCI circuit breaker in the service panel or by a GFCI outlet located near the pool equipment. It is important to test the GFCI regularly to ensure that it is functioning properly. This can be done by pressing the test button on the GFCI device. If the GFCI does not trip, it should be replaced immediately. In addition to the specific NEC requirements discussed above, there are other general electrical safety practices that should be followed when installing or maintaining pool equipment. Always turn off the power to the equipment before performing any work on it. Use only approved electrical components and wiring methods. Protect wiring from physical damage. Keep electrical equipment dry and free from moisture. Never overload electrical circuits. If you are not comfortable working with electricity, hire a qualified electrician to do the work. Following these safety precautions can help to prevent electrical shocks, fires, and other hazards. Let's expand on some of the key concepts. Branch circuit ampacity relates to the ability of the circuit to handle electrical current safely. The ampacity of a circuit is determined by the size of the conductors, the type of insulation, and the ambient temperature. The NEC provides tables that specify the allowable ampacity for different types of conductors under various conditions. It is important to consult these tables when sizing a branch circuit to ensure that it can safely carry the load. The ampacity of the timer or disconnect switch must be equal to or greater than the ampacity of the branch circuit it is connected to. If the timer or disconnect switch is undersized, it can overheat and fail, potentially causing a fire. Lockable disconnects provide a means of isolating the electrical equipment from the power supply during maintenance or repairs. This prevents accidental energization of the equipment, which could result in serious injury or death. The disconnect should be lockable in the off position, meaning that it can be secured with a padlock or other locking device. The locking mechanism should be robust and tamper-resistant. The disconnect should also be clearly labeled with a warning sign indicating that it is the pool equipment disconnect and that the power should be turned off before performing any maintenance or repairs. Identification of the disconnect is crucial for preventing confusion and ensuring that the correct switch is turned off in an emergency situation. The disconnect should be clearly labeled with a permanent marker or label maker, indicating its specific purpose as the pool equipment disconnect. The labeling should be easy to read and understand, even in low light conditions. Consider using a standardized labeling system throughout the electrical system to ensure consistency and clarity. Line-of-sight requirements are intended to provide a clear and unobstructed view of the disconnect switch from the service panel. This allows someone to quickly and easily shut off power to the pool equipment in the event of an emergency. The distance between the disconnect switch and the service panel should be such that the disconnect switch is clearly visible from the service panel. There should be no obstructions such as walls, trees, or other equipment that would block the view of the disconnect switch. GFCI protection is a critical safety measure for pool equipment, as it helps to prevent electrical shock hazards. A GFCI is a device that monitors the flow of electrical current in a circuit and detects any imbalances that may indicate a ground fault. A ground fault occurs when electrical current leaks from a conductor to ground, such as through a person's body. When a GFCI detects a ground fault, it quickly shuts off the power to the circuit, preventing a potentially fatal electrical shock. NEC Section 680.22a requires that all electrical equipment associated with a pool, including pumps, filters, heaters, and lighting, be protected by a GFCI. The GFCI can be provided by a GFCI circuit breaker in the service panel or by a GFCI outlet located near the pool equipment. It is important to test the GFCI regularly to ensure that it is functioning properly. This can be done by pressing the test button on the GFCI device. If the GFCI does not trip, it should be replaced immediately. Now let's explore some real-world scenarios involving these concepts. Scenario 1 involves a pool pump motor rated at 120 volts and drawing 10 amps. The branch circuit supplying the pump motor is protected by a 15 amp circuit breaker. The timer being installed must have an ampacity rating of at least 10 amps, but a timer with a high rating, such as 15 amps or 20 amps, would be a safer choice. The disconnect switch must be lockable and clearly labeled as the pool equipment disconnect. The disconnect switch must be within sight of the service panel. The pump motor and all associated electrical equipment must be protected by a GFCI. Scenario 2 consists of a pool heater rated at 240 volts and drawing 20 amps. The branch circuit supplying the heater is protected by a 30 amp circuit breaker. The timer being installed must have an ampacity rating of at least 20 amps, but a timer with a higher rating, such as 30 amps or 40 amps, would be a safer choice. The disconnect switch must be lockable and clearly labeled as the pool equipment disconnect. The disconnect switch must be within sight of the service panel. The heater and all associated electrical equipment must be protected by a GFCI. Scenario 3 highlights a pool lighting system consisting of several underwater lights totaling 500 watts at 120 volts. The branch circuit supplying the lighting system is protected by a 15 amp circuit breaker. The timer being installed must have an ampacity rating of at least 4.2 amps 500 watts divided by 120 volts, but a timer with a higher rating such as 15 amps or 20 amps would be a safer choice. The disconnect switch must be lockable and clearly labeled as the pool equipment disconnect. The disconnect switch must be within sight of the service panel. The lighting system and all associated electrical equipment must be protected by a GFCI. These scenarios illustrate the importance of carefully considering the electrical requirements of the pool equipment and selecting a timer and disconnect switch that are appropriately sized and rated. It is also crucial to ensure that all electrical work is performed by a qualified electrician and that all applicable codes and regulations are followed. Failure to do so can result in serious injury or death. Now let's elaborate on what constitutes within sight according to the NEC. The phrase within sight generally means visible and not more than 50 feet distant. This means that the disconnect switch must be clearly visible from the service panel without the use of binoculars or other aids. The 50-foot distance is measured in a straight line, and any obstructions that block the view of the disconnect switch would violate the within sight requirement. The intent of the within sight requirement is to ensure that someone can quickly and easily shut off power to the pool equipment in the event of an emergency. This is particularly important in situations where someone is in the water and experiencing an electrical shock. Being able to quickly shut off power can prevent serious injury or death. Now let's examine some additional considerations for selecting a pool timer. Firstly, consider the type of timer. Pool timers are available in a variety of types, including mechanical timers, electronic timers, and smart timers. Mechanical timers are the simplest and least expensive type of timer. They use a clockwork mechanism to turn the pool equipment on and off at preset times. Mechanical timers are generally reliable, but they can be less accurate than electronic timers. Electronic timers use a digital display and electronic circuitry to control the pool equipment. Electronic timers are more accurate than mechanical timers, and they offer more programming options. Smart timers are the most advanced type of timer. They can be controlled remotely using a smartphone or other device. Smart timers can also be programmed to adjust the pull equipment based on weather conditions or other factors. Secondly, think about the number of circuits. Pull timers are available with one or more circuits. A one-circuit timer can control a single piece of equipment, such as the pull pump. A multi-circuit timer can control multiple pieces of equipment, such as the pull pump, the pull heater, and the pull lights. Thirdly, ponder the voltage and amperage. Pull timers are available in a variety of voltage and amperage ratings. It is important to select a timer that is compatible with the voltage and amperage requirements of the pull equipment. Fourthly, what about the enclosure? Pull timers are typically installed outdoors, so it is important to select a timer with a weather-resistant enclosure. The enclosure should be made of a durable material that can withstand the elements. Fifthly, there is ease of use. Pull timers should be easy to program and operate. Look for a timer with a clear display and intuitive controls. Finally, there is the certifications. Pull timers should be certified by a recognized testing laboratory, such as Underwriters Laboratories, or UL. Certification ensures that the timer meets safety standards. Installing a pull timer is a relatively simple project that can be completed by a homeowner with basic electrical skills. However, if you are not comfortable working with electricity, it is best to hire a qualified electrician. Before starting the installation, turn off the power to the circuit of the service panel. Follow the manufacturer's instructions for installing the timer. Connect the wiring according to the wiring diagram. Ensure that all connections are tight and secure. Test the timer to ensure that it is functioning properly. Once the installation is complete, turn the power back on at the service panel. Regular maintenance of pool equipment is essential for keeping the pool clean and safe. This includes cleaning the pool filter, skimming the pool surface, and vacuuming the pool floor. It also includes inspecting the electrical equipment for any signs of damage. Check the wiring for cracks or breaks. Look for loose connections. Make sure that all of the electrical equipment is properly grounded. If you find any problems, have them repaired by a qualified electrician. Proper grounding is essential for preventing electrical shock hazards. All electrical equipment associated with the pool should be properly grounded. This includes the pool pump, the pool heater, the pool lights, and any other electrical equipment. The grounding conductor should be connected to a grounding rod that is driven into the ground near the pool. The grounding conductor should also be connected to the metal frame of the pool. If the pool is not properly grounded, it can become electrified, which can pose a serious risk of electrical shock. Now, to recap, remember the key takeaways when installing a timer for your pool. Firstly, understand the NEC requirements, particularly sections 680.23a on, 680.23a3, and 680.22a on. Secondly, ensure the timer's ampacity rating matches or exceeds the branch circuit requirements. Thirdly, the disconnect needs to be lockable, identified, and within sight of the service panel. Fourthly, maintain GFCI protection with a GFCI circuit breaker or outlet. Fifthly, select a timer that is appropriate for the pool equipment and the environment. Sixthly, follow safe electrical practices during installation and maintenance. Seventhly, ensure proper grounding of all electrical equipment. By adhering to these guidelines, you can ensure a safe and code-compliant pool installation. Always consult with a qualified electrician if you have any questions or concerns. Electrical work can be dangerous, and it is always best to err on the side of caution. Remember, safety should always be the top priority when working with electricity.